Okay, hello everyone. Hope you're all well. Said I wasn't going to sit in my office, but to be fair, it's the coolest place. Having been outside doing dad taxi for my boy. Let's just get rid of this. Okay. Contrarian. So not following the market basically and going against it. Could that perhaps be potential way of beating the market? Yeah, most traders, successful traders, are those that bet against the market. Not necessarily at the price that's offered, but because they're normally outside those prices. So the post I gave you with the later back on the last trade was leak day, and that was basically me just going against what the market was telling us. It was a steamer, it was heavily backed, it was just going in one direction. And this is where you will be conflicted all the time. The conflict is okay, so the data tells me that this potential horse is the forecasted favorite. Market thinks it could possibly win as well. The other ones are drifting, so therefore this is the one to go with. Okay. Now, it doesn't help because you've got to understand how many people are going to be trading or betting today in the markets. It's Saturday, so you will get. Some would say the markets will be more efficient. I would say that there'll be a mixed bag, and keep your eyes open. Having said that, if it was the only one that was trading at, let's say, near evens and the rest were kind of like over fives or sixes, maybe I'd have a different perspective. But again, that was my gut feeling on that one. Well, actually, it wasn't a gut feeling. So the reason I gave you, it was a handicap race. It was supposed to be a 3 to 5 year old, but as always, there's only ever 3 year olds. Remember, 3 year olds are always improvers. Okay, horses typically improve up until the age of, well, arguably 4 or 5, and they plateau until maybe something changes. Well, whether they have some sort of operation to improve their breathing, or they're carrying an injury, or they're just basically reduced so much in handicap that an 80 rated horse is now rated in the 60s and is head and shoulders in quality. Please close your mute your mics, please. Bear with. Right, let's right, that's better. Okay, so the next race that's on now, okay, you can see the racing bet data. I've got Lethal Nymph, sorry, up next. I haven't really looked into it too much, this particular race. I'm just going to load it on now. Hey, Doctor, good to firm. Lethal Nymph is a non-runner. Okay, well, that's a shame. Okay, that's fine. Lethal Nymph is a non-runner. It's actually a decent race. You got Mr. Wagyu, All the King's Men, Rata. There's actually a lot of good horses. Let me just quickly have a look at this one before I digress. I have digressed, actually. Bear with. Yeah. So look at the other ones. All the King's Men. Oh. Okay. All the King's Men is a decent horse in good form as well, and is vying for favoritism with Mr. Wagyu. And so, okay. So for my perspective, I would probably be looking at All the King's Men. Mr. Wagyu is a decent horse. is in a bit of form. Hasn't won since last year at Curragh, but also won in June. So it's typically turned out quite well this time of year. And all the King's Men is just in decent form. For me, they're both out wide, and Corporation is also wide. So you've got 3 horses there out wide. And if you're gonna, oh, goodness me, yeah. So for me, Mr. Wagyu is the later back in that one. For what it's worth, you can have a watch on that one. It's starting any minute. Now, what I wanted to show you, this short list. So what you can do when you're taking a contrarian approach, I'll just wait for this race to finish as I was talking about it.
Volatile analyst Strike Cap is with him. The Grave Music Society in the royal blue, Ryan Moore in the purple and green colours, all the King's Men second from the left. Further left.
From memory, Mr. Wagyu is actually quite a decent closer. And he's up there in the middle, I think. That is my later back. And there you go. That's done. Okay, so as soon as it's done, I switch off. I'm not interested in what if, what buts, and whatnot. I don't even watch the bloody race. Right. Let's turn that off. Right. So what I've got here, racing bet data, just so you can see like a contrarian approach for you to just experiment with. So what have I done here? I have shortlisted today's races. Okay. And I have applied obviously the filter at the top. And what I've done is I want all the horses that have got at least 1 win in the last race. I've taken the top 3 RBD data rank. Sorry, RBD rank 1 to 3. I've taken the top 3 and those that have won in the last race. Yeah. Then what I've done is I've taken all of those that haven't won at the course and that haven't got a class win. Okay. Now you'll notice by default that they've all won at distance. Okay. If I go further up, I've done one more thing, is just I'm only interested in handicap races, because when you're dealing with stakes races, it's basically those kind of races and maidens. Obviously, you will get sometimes a horse that's won a race in a maiden, and in a stakes race, it tends to be horses that are about to get sold, so they're up for sale. Most of the time, if not all the time, and they're not really producing well, and sometimes they just make up the numbers. Okay. And the other thing I've done is I've deleted everything with a plus weight value. Okay. Now you'll see class difference. There's only one that hasn't gone up in class. That was Lethal Nymph. In fact, I was pretty sure that one there would have lost today anyway. And I'm just going to check something for you, for those people that are like me who like to question certain things. Lethal Nymph, bastards. Okay, no, I can do it. Lethal Nymph, surprise, surprise. It's going to be racing on the 24th of June and the 15th of June. So they booked this horse in for this race, and they decided that they're not going to, and they've kept it for, it's the second top weight for the race at Nottingham, which will be a little practice run potentially for Ascot, because it's booked in at Ascot as well. Now, how do I know that? If you go into at the races and you look at the horses details, there'll be a horizontal bar which has the race guard, predictor, draw, pace, etc., etc., and then it has the, bear with me, sorry, talking shit. Let me just go into again. Right, sorry. When you go down, you'll see the full form, wins and places, unplaced, and future entries. If you click on that, then you'll see that there's 2 upcoming races. You'll also notice sometimes that there'll be a favourite in there, okay? And in a race on the day today, for example, and it's booked into race in 2 or 3 days' time. How many times have you seen that happen where a trainer is trying to get a horse to race really quick after a win or a run where it may have come close to winning, in order to be ahead of the handicapper, so they're not penalised on the weight. And one more thing: how many? Excuse me. How many have you seen that have won? That haven't been penalised, or their handicap hasn't gone down. It's basically their trainers being quite cute about it, so they know what they're doing. So that's the approach. Okay, the next race will be Good Show. So just have a look now. So we've got Good Show in the market. I'm just going to where's my, there you go. I'm just going to copy and paste these horses into, here we go. Now, out of these, how many, apart from Lethal Nymph, there's 6 horses, yeah. 3 of them won the last race and 2 of them came second. All right, so I'm just going to, you'll see them in the chat now. There you go. That's a snip of the of what you see, and you can keep an eye on it. Now, if I go to horse racing on Betfair and I look at Good Show 225. Hey Doc. Good Show. Good Show is just about the favourite at 5.4. This will be a competitive race. Live Your Dreams 6.2, 8.2, 7.8, Forza 8.8. So you've got a group of, well, at least 5, and then you've got a subgroup, I call them, of 3. So this is going to be a decent race, okay? And PJ McDonald is on board. Now, if I open, can I open another one? Let me just do it like this. I've copied and pasted that, so I haven't got a problem with that. You've got it there. Now, what I'll do is this. If you want to check, so if I get out of it, if I clear the filters now, okay? And then what you can do, if you really want to become a horse handicapper, you want to analyze horses, correct? Okay, and if you go into the data here, and if I want to look at that particular horse, Good Show, here it is. Bear with, because I've got the date wrong here. I need to clear the date, so bear with me, sorry. What else have I got another filter on? Bear with me, because I still haven't sorted my eyes, guys. And they're getting worse. Here it is. Sorry, got to get rid of the ranking. There we go. That's what was preventing me from doing it. Now we'll do it. Now you can see here what's highlighted, all the horses, etc., and their runs, their history. So I'm going to go into Good Show. Now, I haven't got that many horses to look at, really, have I? So I've only got, what, 6 horses, and 1 was a non-runner, so 5 horses. There we go. I've got Good Shows. So I've got the age here, which is brilliant. And I've got the class. And let's just get we're in chronological order already. Yeah, and let's just make the boxes a tad bigger. Right, that's it. And let me just center them all as well. All right, brilliant. Right, so I've got Good Show, started life in the handicaps in the class 5, because I've still got the handicaps, or have I taken it off? No, I've still got the handicaps. Okay, cool. And I've turned it off. Brilliant. So this is cool. Right, so I've got Good Show here. Age 3, we can see weight-wise, distance. Okay, so 1.4. Let me just capture that quickly. 1.4. Today's races are 1.4. Okay. Now, these ones are non-1.4. Okay, and we can see that the repetition is Hamilton and Hamilton. Okay, now let me just have a look at something. Placed first at Hamilton. Placed first at Hamilton. Okay, so it seems to like Hamilton. Now let's just see what other things this particular horse likes. So you can see that the horse, so what we'll do here is we're going to colour it in green, light green. A bit too light for my eyes even. And this one as well. So it likes Hamilton. It hasn't won. It came close at Nottingham. Lost by a head. But it appears it was the favourite, and it dropped to 1.14. Okay, now when it did do that, here it is. When it did do that, it did also do it at a 2 furlongs greater. However, it was in a stakes. So this is what I mean. It won the novice stakes, and then it went straight. They pushed it straight into Group 3, where it obviously it was an outsider. You wouldn't have laid that. Don't think you would have backed it either. And then straight down to Class 4, where it narrowly lost. So we could see that this horse is punching Class 4 already. Okay, and then what they tried to do with this horse here, they tried to mess it up and got a bit cocky, and they put it up to a Class 2, and then a 3, or where it placed at 10th in the Class 2, punching above the weight again, and the Class 3, it placed 3rd. Now, that's quite respectable. So we can see it's competitive in a Class 3. Okay. Now, when was this? This was in May. So this was this year. So it's now competitive at Class 3 level. Then it went into the Hamilton race at Class 2. Bear in mind, it's a 4-year-old now, yeah? Okay, and it won that race in the Class 3 at Hamilton, but we know it likes Hamilton, hence why maybe it done well in the Class 3 here previously. And then it won its race here last time out. And today it's at Haydock. Now, ground, what does it like? It can race in good to soft and good to soft. Today it's good to firm. So you're going to get a lot of people looking at the same data as you. And then they're going to get people that are going to be using pivot tables, Excel sheets, or maybe inform racing, maybe even to narrow things down slightly differently. But you won't have all of this kind of data for you to look at. It's slightly different setup there. So then you can see, right, okay, so the odd one out is this one here. Okay, and it's one on this, it's been competitive here. Actually, let me just go back on that, sorry. It's been competitive here. Good to soft again. And let's just, and we have to discount Ascot because it was Class 1. What about the soft? How did it do at Nottingham? Lost by a head. So it likes a softer ground. Okay. Bear in mind, you can see it hasn't done all weather, and they'll probably introduce it to all weather sooner or later, maybe this year. But at the moment, they're tackling turf only. And maybe they haven't gone into the all weather because of the soft underfoot conditions. But don't be surprised to see good show at Kempton, maybe, where the surface there is likened more to good to soft on turf. So I'm just drinking a little bit of Cobra. All right. So good to firm. I don't think it's going to travel well, personally. I can see the other ones that are probably going to bring it in. Let's have a look at, see what's going on. So Live Your Dream is what you'd call a steamer, and Cumulonimbus is a drifter. It means nothing at this moment in time because there's still 20 minutes to go. Arguably, I might say to you that Cumulonimbus might reverse and come back to challenge to near 6s and 5s again, maybe. Okay. Forza potentially may continue the drop, you know. But obviously, if any of that happens, then we're going to see a good show drift. What else is good show not got going for it? To just validate the reason why it's so, as my kids would say in London, it's so bait that it's obvious, basically, that it's going to win based on the fact that I pick those rankings, etc. Let's have a look. Rating wise, so rating wise, it's pretty much static. It's around about 90, 88, 88, 91 today. PRB, the Dobbs, it tends to dob. I believe it's dropped at least 50% in all of its races. Okay. I don't use that as a gospel. I don't like it. And again, if you're being a contrarian on based on just Dobbs alone, I mean, on that you would have been out of pocket. But if we look at how low it's traded, just to see in its bear with me, I'm probably making you dizzy just looking at this. Bear with. Okay, so Betfair starting price last time out, it won the race. It was 3.45. 6 pre to that, it dobbed 3 low. It probably went lower, but £100 minimum matched at 3. It didn't drop. You wouldn't be surprised to hear it in the class 2 here. Okay, and in the class 4, you're not surprised to see it drop to 1.14. Now, today we are class 2. Okay, so that's basically how you'd look at that. Okay, in a nutshell. And if I go into what is it ranked? Is it one of the number 1s or number 2 ranked? RBD ranking, race rating. It's here somewhere. My eyes. It's rank 2 today. Yeah, so rank 2. So we'll see how that one goes. In a race like this, you know, it's potentially, you would say that, okay, if we're expecting this to drop and it drops 50% of the time, you would maybe stagger your and drip your lays in. Okay, around about maybe 3. Let's just have a look at the 2. Where did it drop to last time? Yeah, you might want to stagger it into half of that, so at least 2.5, 2.7. And then if you really want to be kind of like, I mean, I would personally, I'd go in at 2.5, take 2.5 to 2.3, 1.8 to 2.3, 1.5 to 1.9, and you know, I'd even go as low as, let's say, 1.1 to 1.3. and so on. Yeah, you can drip in and out like that using percentages or ticks, whatever you fancy. Anyone I know, including myself in the past, early days, the way to blow your bank is when you're laying at these kind of prices, really, and it goes against you and it just steams all the way down, and then you shit your pants basically. And once it hits that 1.5, you're holding your breath and all that kind of thing, unless you've got good reason and you can live with the result. But otherwise, to be, you know, if you've got a good reason to lay a horse and you expect it to run well, you always place your trades lower than the SP. Okay. Arguably, you know, if any of you listen to what I've said and place your trades in lower, sub 1.5, even sub 1.3, you know, you would have been up some like 20 points or whatever it is, 30 points yesterday alone. Okay, on straight lays. Okay, so good show will probably start to drift, and now 10 minutes. Okay, so this is where the just to explain to you people that like scalping, people that like to scalp, the time zones. There are time zones to scalp races. You scalp races. You can scalp races in the morning. Yeah, you can get shafted though if there's a non-runner declared and you're in a back to lay position. You'll be shafted. Same with a later back. You'll just be shafted. And that's the only risk really I see with early morning scalping. There's no liquidity really, and it's only if you're really, really sharp. You can get in the night before when all the bets BOG guys are fighting to get on, if that even exists anymore. I know that's deteriorated somewhat. Now, time zones: 15 minutes to 10 minutes, 10 minutes to 5 minutes, 5 minutes to 3 minutes, and then you've got 3 to 2 minutes, and then below 1 minute and final 30 seconds. If I was to break that down with final minute, 2 to 5, 5 to 10, those are the most pertinent ones, and you trade those different zones differently. Okay, that's how you scalp. You have to act, behave, and stake differently in those different time zones of 10 to 5, 5 to 2, and then really just chill out for a few seconds, and then wait for the final minute and see what's going on. Okay. Some sharp money will start to come in. Some sharp money will start to exit. What you have to factor in are people that are chasing a trend, like our league day. So you get a lot of people staying at home, trying to pretend to be traders, trying to learn. The trend is your friend. Let's just carry on. Oh, brilliant. I'm not going to take my money out. Sod it. Let me leave it in play. It's a done deal. And then all of a sudden, oosh, goes against you. Yeah. And the trend's not your friend anymore because you've just bankrupted you. So you need to think differently if you want to trade this kind of sports. Saturday markets do behave somewhat differently because there's more liquidity. Sometimes, obviously not in this race, but it's still early days. But people do have a little bit more time to spend a bit of money, and don't forget, people are, not everyone's subscribing to this, but people will use the Racing Post, they will use the newspaper, they'll use anything to get some sort of stats. And the most noticeable stats on this particular horse is the fact that it's got decent form. Okay. And that's the one thing that when you hover over it stands out. Its form. Won the last race, came third in the previous, and came second. So it's got, it is pretty decent form, and it's dobbed throughout. So yeah, so you're going up against a lot of people that are going to be thinking this way. Okay, so that's the contrarian approach to things. How you would look at a horse, gather the information, create a spreadsheet, and this is how you would break down the horse and see whether or not that contrarian approach works. And you can have a look at the market and see whether or not other people, what's going on with the market. Not really that convincing, is it? Yeah, and then trade it accordingly. It doesn't need to be a lay. It could be a back to lay. Now, why don't I like to? I prefer to lay to back. So I'm saying, well, if you know it's going to drop, Mike, why do you lay to back and not back to lay? Well, the reason I do that is because it's not always guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, firstly. Secondly, it's not guaranteed that it's going to drop to 50% or dob, let's say, to get 100% return. It might only drop 20%. It might drop more. It might drop less. You don't know. It might not drop at all. So I would rather, now you'll say, okay, so I'm putting 1 unit up to back it, but potentially I can take away more than 1 unit, whereas your later back is a lot less. Yeah, but my later back, I'm leaving it a little bit lower, let's say, or I could use liability staking as well, for instance. But I would, let's say, go below the 50% and just wait and see if it takes it. It may spike down. It could be at the back or mid pack, and just because all of a sudden it's accelerated somewhat in the final furlong and a half, that it's gone out wide, started to accelerate, and all of a sudden your total performance data mugs that look at the speed and like to close it down start tapping away, and because they're tapping furiously, you it might just actually pop down, take your bet, and then before you know it, drop to 2 and then whiz out to 100 and something or more. Okay. So that's it. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. I'll post this recording up. Okay. So